Imagine waking up one morning and discovering that everything you have ever experienced, every memory, every dream, every emotion, every decision, cannot be fully explained by the brain alone. Imagine if your thoughts were connected to something much larger than the billions of neurons inside your skull. For centuries, philosophers asked one impossible question: what is consciousness? Today, scientists are asking the same question, but now they have brain scanners, quantum computers, particle physics, and some of the most advanced laboratories ever built. And what they are discovering is raising even bigger mysteries. Some researchers believe consciousness is simply the result of electrical signals passing through billions of brain cells. Others believe we are still missing a fundamental piece of the puzzle. And then, there is one of the most controversial ideas in modern science. Could quantum physics, the strange world where particles exist in multiple possibilities at once, play a role in human consciousness? Could the mind be more than the brain? Or are we simply misunderstanding both quantum mechanics and ourselves? Tonight we journey into one of science's greatest mysteries, a mystery involving Nobel Prize-winning physics, the human brain, and questions that may change how we see reality itself. This is quantum consciousness, and the truth is far stranger than fiction. Every second, your brain performs one of the most extraordinary feats in the known universe. Roughly 86 billion neurons communicate through trillions of connections. Tiny electrical signals race across these networks hundreds of times every second. This incredible activity allows you to recognize faces, remember childhood moments, imagine the future, solve problems, and experience emotions. Modern neuroscience has revealed an astonishing amount about how the brain works. Scientists can identify regions involved in language, movement, memory, vision, and decision-making. Brain imaging technologies can even observe changing patterns of activity while someone thinks, dreams, or performs complex tasks. Yet despite decades of research, one enormous mystery remains unsolved. How does all this physical activity become a conscious experience? Why does electrical activity inside the brain produce the feeling of seeing the color blue? Why does pain actually hurt? Why does music create emotion? Why do we possess an inner world at all? Scientists call this one of the hardest questions in science. Some even call it the hard problem of consciousness, a phrase introduced by philosopher David Chalmers. The challenge is not explaining how the brain processes information. The challenge is explaining why information processing feels like something from the inside. This mystery has fascinated thinkers for thousands of years. Ancient civilizations believed consciousness came from the soul. Greek philosophers debated whether the mind was separate from the body. Centuries later, René Descartes argued that mind and matter were fundamentally different. But as science advanced, many researchers believed the mystery would eventually disappear. If we understood every neuron, every chemical, every electrical impulse, surely consciousness would be explained. Yet that has not happened. Instead, every new discovery seems to reveal an even deeper mystery. Because the brain is not simply a machine. It is the only known object in the universe capable of asking questions about itself. And that changes everything. Too long before quantum physics entered the conversation, scientists believed the universe behaved like an enormous clock. Every event had a predictable cause. If you knew enough information, you could calculate the future. This was the worldview shaped by Isaac Newton's laws of motion. For centuries, it worked remarkably well. It explained falling apples, planetary orbits, the movement of stars, machines, engineering, almost everything people could observe. Then, in the early 20th century, reality surprised everyone. Scientists studying atoms discovered that nature behaves in ways no one expected. At incredibly small scales, particles do not always have definite positions. They behave like waves. Sometimes they appear to exist in several possible states until measured. Particles separated by enormous distances can display mysterious correlations known as quantum entanglement. Probability replaces certainty. The universe becomes stranger than imagination. Even Albert Einstein found some aspects deeply unsettling. He famously disliked the idea that chance lay at the foundation of reality. He referred to quantum entanglement as spooky action at a distance. Yet experiment after experiment confirmed that quantum mechanics works extraordinarily well. Today, nearly every modern technology, from smartphones to MRI scanners and lasers, depends on quantum physics. The theory has survived more than a century of testing. It is among the most successful scientific theories ever developed, but success did not eliminate mystery. Instead, quantum mechanics introduced new questions. What actually happens during measurement? Why do quantum possibilities appear to become definite outcomes? Does consciousness somehow influence observation? Or does observation simply involve physical interaction? These questions continue to inspire debate among physicists. Importantly, mainstream science does not conclude that human consciousness causes quantum events. Many interpretations of quantum mechanics explain observations without requiring consciousness at all. Still, because the theory is so unusual, it has inspired countless ideas, some scientifically grounded, others highly speculative. Among these ideas lies one of the most controversial proposals ever suggested. Could quantum processes inside the brain contribute to consciousness itself? At first glance, the idea sounds impossible. The brain is warm, wet, noisy. Quantum effects are extremely delicate. In laboratory experiments, researchers often cool quantum systems to temperatures close to absolute zero to preserve fragile quantum behavior. How could anything quantum survive inside a living brain? This criticism became one of the strongest arguments against quantum consciousness. Many physicists believed the brain was simply too chaotic. Quantum states would disappear almost instantly, case closed. Or so it seemed. Then, during the 1990s, two scientists proposed an idea that reignited the debate. One was Sir Roger Penrose, a mathematical physicist famous for his work on black holes, space-time, and the mathematics of the universe. Decades later, Penrose would receive the Nobel Prize in Physics for research related to black holes. The other scientist was Dr. Stuart Hameroff, an anesthesiologist interested in how consciousness disappears and returns during anesthesia. Together they proposed a theory known as orchestrated objective reduction, often shortened to Orch-OR. Their idea was bold. Perhaps consciousness does not arise only from communication between neurons. Perhaps tiny structures inside neurons, called microtubules, also play a role. Microtubules are real biological structures. They help cells maintain their shape. They assist with transporting materials inside cells. They are essential for many cellular functions. Penrose and Hameroff suggested these microscopic structures might also support quantum processes. According to their theory, quantum events occurring inside microtubules could contribute to conscious experience. It was a fascinating proposal, but it also attracted enormous criticism. Many neuroscientists argued there was little direct evidence. Many physicists questioned whether quantum coherence could survive long enough inside the brain. The debate continues even today. Some experiments have explored unusual quantum effects in biological systems. Researchers have found evidence that quantum phenomena may play roles in photosynthesis, bird navigation, and certain chemical reactions. These discoveries demonstrated that biology and quantum physics are not always completely separate. However, proving that similar effects generate consciousness remains an entirely different challenge. No experiment has yet demonstrated that quantum computation inside neurons creates awareness. That distinction is crucial. Science advances through evidence, not possibility alone. Even so, the theory encouraged researchers to ask new questions that had never been seriously explored before. What if consciousness is more complicated than anyone imagined? What if the brain uses principles we have not yet fully understood? Or what if the entire theory is wrong, but still pushes science toward better answers? History has shown that even controversial ideas sometimes inspire important discoveries. And that is exactly where this story begins to grow even more fascinating. Because while Penrose and Hameroff were proposing quantum consciousness, another revolution was quietly transforming neuroscience itself. Powerful brain scanners were beginning to reveal the living brain in ways humanity had never seen before. And what scientists observed would challenge some of their oldest assumptions about the human mind. To understand whether consciousness is truly more than the brain, researchers first had to answer an even more surprising question. What is the brain actually doing when we think we are doing nothing? That unexpected discovery would open an entirely new chapter in the search for consciousness.